Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going through one of the most important things when it comes to email marketing, and that is your list growth. If your list is not growing, then you're more than likely going to be losing revenue as your brand is going to be stagnant, and all you're going to be doing is targeting the same people day in, day out, and more than likely your list is going to be shrinking because naturally people do unsubscribe as they just become uninterested in your product, even if you are sending the best emails known to man. And how we ultimately grow our list is through the shape of a pop-up form. And we're going to be going through many brands as well, showing you poor examples, good examples, and some examples we have as an agency. I just want to say I do not have any affiliation with any of these brands. They're just people I've found randomly on the internet, and we can use them as examples in the video. And if they're watching, they can see some points of improvement as well. So most brands tend to leave money on the table when it comes to their form because they think the industry standard is like 3 to 4%, 5% being a good submit rate. Whereas really we want to be aiming for a minimum of 8 to 12%. Well, 8% at the bottom end, but 12% is something which we want to be reaching for. In some cases, you do have brands with a crazy offer that are getting 20% signups, but we want to be realistic. And for the most part, 8 to 12% is something with a mid-range that most brands will be able to achieve with a good offer. Offers is something we'll talk about later down the line, but I'm just going to be going through the fundamentals in this document, which will be left in the link below. And we can go through all the brands as well, showing you real life examples of what does well, what does bad, and the reasons why, which is going to be most important for you guys. So here are some examples as well, which are pulled off the internet. We won't go into too much detail here, but we'll go through it in a minute. So list growth directly equals revenue growth. So the more subscribers we get, which means we're going to be having more touch points with our audience. So as we can see here, increased touch points is going to equal more revenue, as we're going to have more chances to hit home with one of your emails with your customers. So the more people seeing it with a good offer, more than likely they're going to be converting more than later down the line. And it kind of compounds as well, because the reason people sign up and if they don't purchase on that first attempt, it's usually because they're waiting for something, whether it be in payday or a discount or something like this. So generally, the bigger your list keeps getting, your revenue keeps compounding, and it just generally just gets into a big snowball as time increases. I'm not going to waste too much time with this document. You can feel free to read it yourself below. Here are a few strategies and stuff which we'll go into in a minute. So starting off with a few brands, we'll go through poor performing ones, and then we'll slowly work our way up to the top performing. I'm not going to dox this brand, but I will go through this form as I do see these very common at the minute, mainly from brands that don't put a lot of time and effort into their email marketing. So here we can see they're offering 10% off, but it's in very, very small text. And the issue, what we're going to have with this is 9 out of 10 times people close these forms down very, very quickly, because the reason this form has just come up is because they've never purchased before, they're not signed up to the mailing list, and they more than likely haven't purchased their items before. So they don't even know what they're selling. And for them to even consider signing up without knowing what they're selling, yeah, you're kind of clutching at straws there. So what we need to do is make our offer clear as possible. So when they do click off it, they can then kind of remember that, oh, I saw 10% off. Then it can help them get across the line into their first purchase. So the bigger the offer, the more it stands out. This bit of text here is actually irrelevant. Exclusive updates. People think these mean a lot, even receiving new arrivals and insider discounts. People only care about the now and what you're going to get for signing up. So if you're not given an offer of any sort, so whether it be in a dollar amount, a free gift, a free resource, something like this of any value, you're going to really be struggling to get any decent signups. Unfortunately, that is the way the world's gone at the minute, where people have signed up to that many emails from brands, their inboxes are getting flooded. So whether they've spent the time to clean it out or they generally are just still getting bombarded, you really need to have a good offer and a product for people to consider signing up. So naturally, it has become harder to sign up, but with a good pop-up form and a good offer, we can do the best we can to get our signups. Secondly, social media actually decreases performance, because if I click these social medias, I then go onto another tab and I actually lose track of the whole process of signing up, being considering to purchase, even look into the brand a little bit deeper. So this kind of just adds friction and distraction. We want to remove this as quick as possible. And with closing it down, there's no way of bringing the form back up. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, when you open these forms up, people do close them down to browse the store first and see if what they're selling has any interest. So the only way to sign up right now with this brand is the footer, which has no mention to their discount. So we want to make sure that everywhere people can sign up, we have reiterations of 10% off, 20%, whatever it may be. And we want to have some form of toggle to bring it back up. And I'll show you what this looks like on a brand in a minute. Slowly getting better. This form here is a little bit better. We have a bold offer here, a little bit of imagery, so it's a little bit more creative. However, it's a little bit nose blind in my opinion. And what I mean by this is every single store is using the exact same layout. So people aren't really intrigued by it. They're not really fully paying attention. And it just seems like another email grab at the end of the day. What this form has done better is they've got their offer in bold, and there's actually no way to close the form down. So there's no clear button to exit. And what this does is kind of like ushers people to sign the form up to then obviously complete it and then get it on their page so they can carry on browsing. But in some cases, we have actually noticed a decrease in return on ad spend, as when people click from ads onto the form, sometimes because they can't close it, they generally do just close the tab. We have seen this taken over from previous agencies, but just keep an eye on things. But generally, it's not too bad. One thing as well you got to be careful of as well is you can see all these pop-ups here. So this one here, and when you accept here, 9 times out of 10 these do close down. And if your store doesn't have a toggle to bring it back up, then you could be running into some issues as well. And most stores, they generally don't have these toggles to bring the form up, and as we can see there. So this form is slowly getting better. There's a lot more better graphics going on here. The offer is massive in bold letters. It's literally impossible to miss. However, there's a few small things that we've done through running multiple tests with brands we work with to increase the sign up. So here we can see the email, which is brilliant. They're also offering mobile, and they have a little multiple choice question here. When you start adding that many steps in one slide, it actually decreases your signups because it's just adding friction getting to the point of them completing their email. So how I would actually split this up is I would have it in separate pages. So first page would be email, second page would be mobile. Reason being is mobile can be quite a big turn off of people because I don't hand my phone number out easily, and I'm sure you don't yourself. So for a brand they've more than likely never purchased from, are they going to consider handing their mobile number over? Probably not. So if we add it in a separate slide, it gives them the opportunity to focus, to give SMS. If not, with email, our main focus is obviously getting them in our ecosystem with email. That way it's just all one smooth sailing trip and getting them on our mailing list. This multiple choice question here, I'm going to show you another example in a minute of a good one and how it actually works really well. Moving on from this as well, in my opinion, we don't really use this at the minute so much for our brands, but what has worked well in the past, like maybe a year or two ago, was the spin to wins. They still do perform really well, as it does have that gambling aspect in there and like the unknown. But in my opinion, we haven't been getting as good of results. Maybe they could be doing good because people have switched to other things. So it could be worth testing out. But as of right now, we are more dominant on the multiple choice question forms as opposed to the spin to wins. However, it's your responsibility to test. If you want to test these things out, see how they get on, feel free to let us know in the comments with your results. But we have seen good results in the past, but as of right now, we're moving more onto the multiple choice questions. So I've got 2 brands left, and I'm going to be showing you their forms. This one is called Comfort, and I'll show you the other one in a minute. But these two are very similar to what we use as an agency, and I'm just going to be showing you why they work so well. So here we have a mystery offer. It's kind of like intriguing, makes you click like wondering why. Click claim offer, asking for the email, nice and simple, big bold text as well. It's massive, covers the screen. And again, it's just something people aren't used to seeing, so it kind of breaks the pattern of the standard forms I've been showing you, so people are more interested into filling them out. However, there is a way we can make this perform better. So what they're using here is what's called a micro commit. So it's asking people if they're interested in a reward, and then here it's focusing on, do you want the mystery offer, and if we close it down, we have the mystery offer tag here, so we can bring it back up, which is perfect. Ultimately, this form is going to be performing the best out of everything. This is exactly what we use for our brands as well, and I'll be going through why this works so well. So here we can see unlock your 52% in massive bold letters. It's impossible to miss. We have some really good creativity here as well, showing how good the brand looks and obviously the bit of background about them. Then we have a personal question. So what are you actually shopping with them for? When you add in this personalized touch, it kind of like disarms people in terms of handing their email address over, as everyone's fed up of seeing them and it's something completely different. So when people see this, they're not even relating it to an email. They're actually thinking it's just an actual form for them to go and submit things. So let's say I'm interested in gut health. Next, we can see email address here. Simple, one thing signed up, type in your email address, bum, done. Again, leading on to the next, after you've literally signed up for your email, you then get the SMS as well. This is perfect because it gives you a chance to just back out of things now if you don't want the SMS, and we can just click off this and then you're already signed up to their emails. And then here we still have the toggle to bring things back up to get onto the website. So everything's literally working perfect. Funnel them straight to the email and then obviously giving them an option to sign up to mobile. These forms don't actually have to cover the full screen as it's shown here. They can actually just be a slightly smaller form with a mini quiz, email, then mobile. However, in most cases, they do perform really well when they cover the full screen. But we have noticed a few people mentioning comments about them being too big, especially other brand owners like being conservative about their ads and people coming on the site. But for the most part, we haven't noticed anything bad in terms of that. And they've actually been performing really, really well for us as a brand. That being said, don't forget to check out this document as well. I'm going to leave a link to these two brands as well, which do really, really well with their signups. And feel free to subscribe, like, and check out the next video we're uploading. Plenty of videos on the channel now. We're slowly building our library up. So keep tuned and catch you in the next one.